Hi there, welcome back to the Alban allotment. What a beautiful day today. I hope wherever you are having some decent weather and you're able to enjoy it. Since I'm on plot 12 today, I think, since we're halfway through April already, I think it's probably time for another plot tour. Some of the stuff obviously we've spoken about in the last review, but really excited to show you some of the things that have changed and where we're currently at on plot 12 in April. Right then, so here we are at the start of plot 12. The daffodils are still going strong. The little ones, the little tete-a-tete style ones, they are pretty much over now, but the tulips have now come out, which is absolutely beautiful. So these are all yellow along here and looking really lovely, with a few white hyacinths actually down here as well. But yeah, looking really nice. Sergio's done a nice job of edging the plot as well and keeping the grass mown. And then under here we have our onions, which is a little bit tricky to show you actually because of the sunlight on the mesh, but hopefully you can see in there it needs a little bit of a weed. But the onions, they are starting to do really well, especially considering they were covered up with Enviromesh but flat on the ground for a little bit too long and they got a little bit squished. They're looking pretty good. This is where we had our nasturtiums last year, so I can already see a few nasturtiums coming up there that we need to weed out and maybe be able to pot those on as well. And then as we go around, we get to our garlic bed for this year, which is doing very well. These are the ones that were pre-sprouted in modules. On this side, they were done like September, October time last year and then just waited to go out. They are looking really chunky. If you can see the size of that stem there, really nice on this side. But even better, as I go around here past these daffodils, these are the ones that were sown direct at the end of the year last year, so around about December time, and they are looking so healthy now. Not quite as chunky as they were before. As they were on the other side, but these ones are looking really nice, and there are some elephant garlics in there as well. So these 4 here, they are elephant garlic, and yeah, they're looking really good as well. Saved those from the floods and really happy that we did. Probably not going to eat much of it this year. I think we're probably going to try and save the seed from it, save some of the cloves, and then try and kind of increase our stock of it. Maybe eat one of them though. I think we deserve to eat some garlic this year. So yeah, garlic bed, amazing. Garlic bed looking pretty cool. And then this bed, well, it had the kale in it, which is pretty much done now. We've been picking off these side shoots and these flower shoots and putting those in some pasta and stuff, and they're really delicious, but we think it's probably time to take that out now. And the rest of the bed looking a little bit weedy. We haven't really done much else with it yet. Still planning to put a path here on both sides, but haven't got around to that yet. We don't really have the wood to do it either now. But yes, this whole bed just needs clearing, and then probably we're going to put sweet corn here-ish. We don't really know exactly what's going to go in the rest of the beds yet, but now that we've started catching up on the sowing, we will start to figure that out. That's where our parsnips were. Oh yeah, one thing that's changed is that we finally got some wood chip delivered on the site, so now we have been able to wood chip most of our paths, which makes it look so much better, and now we're not walking on mud any time that it rains, which is also really nice. Down here we have Sergio's sowing of broad beans, which are looking really good. We thought at first that the frilly leaves were like the variety that we'd sown, especially these ones. If you look at this just looks like it's naturally frilly, but it turns out it's some type of bug which has been taking off some of the leaves, which you can see a little bit more clearly here. Was that an ant? Yeah, that was an ant. But it doesn't seem to be affecting the growth too much of the broad beans themselves, or at least the plants themselves. So not too worried about it. We don't seem to have the same problem on plot 79, but interesting because we've never really had to deal with this before, so we'll see. Sergio's sowing is definitely less patchy than mine, although he does have a couple of gaps there, but I'll show you mine in a second, and they're way patchier. This is also just some salad crops that Sergio's sown. We've been trying to keep on top of the weeding in these beds. The broad bean bits aren't so bad because we can hoe between them, but it's a bit harder in the lettuce and the salad crops. And then yeah, these are my sowings of broad beans on this plot, and as you can see, like I've done them all the way to the edge here, and just most of these haven't come up or they've been eaten, and they took a lot longer to come up than Sergio's did as well. But they are still coming up, and there's a lot of grass in here as well that we need to get out. Some of them are a little bit more dinky than others, and they're a little bit further behind than Sergio's over there. But again, same problem, they've been having some of their leaves gnawed off, but they don't seem to be too bothered by it really overall. These ones haven't got any flowers on at all yet, but the ones on plot 79 do, so hopefully these ones will catch up soon and we will start to get some beans. That'll be really nice. Plus we get that really, really lovely afternoon scent that broad beans give off as well, which I absolutely love, and is actually my main reason for growing broad beans, although I do also obviously enjoy eating them as well. We have some more rubbish that's just on this bed. Well, it's not all rubbish actually. This is some IKEA shelving that we're using as staging that we're in the process of putting together. These are £12 each, and they work really well as staging. So we're using them in the greenhouse, which I'll show you more closely soon. But this bed and that bed are now starting to get used. So this will all get cleared off soon and we'll take the covering from it and put it onto plot 79. Sergio has already started digging that bed over, which I'll show you, but we need to kind of tidy up the rest of this stuff once we've finished putting the staging together, because actually this is kind of the only space now that we have to work in, because there's so much rubbish still around the shed which we need to clear, and it also needs levelling around the shed as well. So this is the best place to be doing this job at the moment. But once we've done that, we'll clear it, and then the brassicas are most likely going to go into this bed, and quite likely that bed as well, because they take up so much room and they're in for so long and they're relatively big, so we can hopefully just get one big bit of netting and just put it over the whole thing. And then we get to the back of the shed where there's a lot of rubbish. So this soil here is what I've taken out when I was doing the foundations for the greenhouse. We haven't needed to put it all back in yet, obviously because we've taken out more than we put in, but we did use it to try and kind of raise up the ground around the greenhouse where the path was quite a lot lower and the breeze blocks for the foundations were sticking out a little bit more. And then we just have a lot of stuff which really needs to tidy up really, but it is starting to get a little bit better. We can actually walk around here, and we've kind of missed it now, but there were some really lovely bulbs back here. They're kind of nice and sunny back here. There's a nice gorgeous view of the river, but there was all daffodils, and cyclamen are down here as well somewhere, if I can find them. Here we go, there's the cyclamen. So there's some really lovely stuff back here. So I think next year this area is just going to be really lovely, and we'll hopefully put on a really nice display, especially since there are also daffodils on the other side of the river as well to look at. So hopefully by the end of this year we'll have all of this stuff properly tidied and cleared, especially the rubbish, and then we'll be able to kind of level this bit a bit more and move this seating area back and have somewhere to sit by the river, which will be really good for Poppy as well, because back here obviously there's not a lot of sunlight, especially right now, and it's just a little bit cooler and a little bit better for Poppy, who does get very hot because she's got black fur and she soaks up the sun, and although she loves the sun, she does get a bit overheated a little bit too quickly, so we have to try and make sure that she's got a place that she can safely stay while we're here. There's a lot of rubbish back there, not really worth showing you, but hopefully next time we do a plot tour it will start to be a little bit more clear. The table's now been moved over to here, from that bed where we had the covering, which was again somewhere that we were using as just more of a workspace, but now that we're getting that bed ready, this is going to end up being more of a utility area. Hopefully we just need to level it because it is really uneven, and then we want to hopefully make some sort of like a patio or something at the front of the shed. Hello Sergio. And in the shed itself is a little bit tidier than last time I showed you, but not a lot. Hopefully some of those IKEA shelvings will fit under here and give us a bit of storage, so we can take this potting bench back out, but it back round onto plot 79 and give us a bit more room back in this shed and a little bit more organisation as well. And then I can take you round to Fruit Tree Avenue, which I'm not sure was here in the last plot tour, it was just being done. So yeah, I definitely did mention in the last plot tour that we were thinking about putting in extra paths either side of this these two beds here. Oh, actually it was all one big bed on this side and one big bed on this side, but they were so big that we decided to split them up, and I'm really glad that we did, because the paths really make sense, because now you can walk either down to the greenhouse through the middle or all the way down to the back of the greenhouse down the sides, and it means now that we've been able to put some fruit trees in. So we call this Fruit Tree Avenue and it's recently been wood chipped, which makes it look really nice, and Sergio has just put an arch together as well, which helps finish it off. So on the left here we have a golden delicious apple, we have a conference pear tree, and maybe this was here in the last tour actually, I vaguely remember talking about these. I probably should check them before I do filming. Granny Smith apple, and what's really exciting about these is not only have they now started to form leaves, but they've also got a little bit of blossom coming on them. So who knows, we may even get some fruit this year as well. And then down at the front of the beds here are just some alliums. I think they're the big purple ball type alliums. And then some peonies in between. The Cox's orange pippin apparently. Another peony there, which isn't doing as well as the rest actually. And this is a cherry tree, which also has some blossom on it, which is really, really nice for such a small and newly planted tree. And then again, just some peonies in between them, which have now started to pop up. Some of them are doing a lot better than others though. Into the greenhouse. We finally finished digging this over yesterday. It was such a hot day, it was like 30+ degrees in here, but it really needed doing. The ground was really, really compacted, and we obviously needed to get the path kind of in. It's still not done, it really needs levelling in here, but the main thing is now, like, all the weeds are out, mostly out, and we're able to put staging in here now, and we can bring the tomatoes, the aubergines and the chilies down from the house. Now that we've moved, we didn't really have a good place to put them with grow lights, so we brought them back down in the hope that we don't have any more frosts, but we've left them in these for now, these trays, so we can just easily put them in the car if we do have a frost. But I think we'll probably be all right looking at the forecast. There doesn't seem to be much chance of it at the moment. Famous last words maybe. But so these tomatoes are my sowings of tomatoes. In here is a mix of Marglobe and San Marzano. They're looking pretty good, apart from some of them being a little bit scorched where they touch the grow lights. These are all Black Beauty aubergines, but there was 2 separate sowings of them. The leaves are just gigantic. It's crazy how big they are, and they are sucking up water like nobody's business. So they're wilting really quickly, especially in this greenhouse, but they are loving the heat and obviously loving the sunshine. And then in here is, well, it's 2 types of chilies. It's Fresno chilies and Cayenne chilies, but there's also a couple of different types of Cayenne chilies, like there's an F1 hybrid. Some of these are looking really lush now as well since they've been out. But also, they are starting to flower, so I'm having to go around and pick off all the flowers because it's not time yet, chilies, you have to wait. But there's a couple of different ones. Yeah, there's like F1 Cayennes, and then there's just like some standard ones from Wilco's, but they're all doing pretty well. I think these are the Fresnos, which have completely taken over. They're really happy. And yeah, really looking forward to getting those in pots soon and hopefully into their final positions. And then this is the new staging that we've been putting together. So as I say, these are like 12 quid from IKEA, and oh my god, they're just so much better than buying really expensive staging. I like the fact that they're narrow because they don't take up so much space in the greenhouse, and it's perfect kind of for these beds. We will obviously need to find space for them outside of the greenhouse when we need to put something in the ground, but for now it's great. And another thing I really love about them is that the width of these is the exact same width as one of these panes of glass. So in theory, when we get it all tidy and level and stuff, we'll be able to butt this right up to the edge, and we'll be able to get 5 shelves on each side, which is really nice. And they are just the right width to be putting our modules on, that we have quite a lot of the same type. They also fit 3 like decent sized pots on as well. So on the left here we have a recent sowing of butternut squash. These have just come up in the last couple of days. The Uchiki curries that we've done, trying to catch up on our sowing, they haven't come up yet, which is worrying me a little bit, but we have bought some more seeds, so maybe we need to just do some more. And these are the Gold Rush courgettes. These are the yellow courgettes that we really liked last year. There's 3 sowings of those, but again, none of those have come up yet. And then this is just a mix of different brassicas that I recently pricked out. And oh, let's just let Sergio get past. I pricked these out yesterday actually, which is why a few of them are looking a little bit sad, because it's been so hot in here and I maybe didn't do the best job of pricking them out. But there's like green sprite and broccoli in here. There's kale in here. All these leaves look really similar. I'm slightly concerned I actually didn't change the seed packet when I was sowing them, but I have to trust myself. Evesham special sprouts, green marble sprouts, some Calabrese broccolis, and then these are Atlantic Giant pumpkins, which I started just before we went on holiday, and only 3 of the 4 seeds that we had left came up, but that's fine. That should be enough considering how big they're meant to get. And then this is the remainder of the brassicas that I need to prick out. You can see they're a little bit leggy, and that's because when I went on holiday, or when we went on holiday, we left these on the windowsill and not under a grow light because we didn't have any space. and it just meant that they got a little bit leggy, and then I've been a little bit late in potting them on because of moving house and stuff. But I've been burying them quite deep, as you can see, so like that is how they all looked, but I've been trying to get them quite deep into the soil when potting them on, so hopefully they'll form new roots, or at the very least they'll sort their stems out. And then here Sergio's been doing some sweet corn sowings. I'm assuming this is because we've run out of sweet corn, but I think we have a couple more packets anyway. So these will be, these are obviously done in modules, but we'll hopefully be able to do some direct, which we haven't ever done yet as well. And then the campsis we've moved from plot 79 onto here. It was doing really well. It was, the shoots were bigger than this, but we had a frost and it took it right back, but it's bouncing back. So hopefully that will give us a nice display this year as well. We've got more stagings put together, so I've obviously got that one there, and we've got another 3 other than that as well, so they'll go along here, and we may end up needing to put some of them in the shed, and we'll probably end up buying some more as well, because they're just such good value for money. And you can also buy covers for them as well from IKEA that fit them properly, and then they turn into little grow houses, little poly grow houses inside the greenhouse as well, which hopefully will be really good earlier in the season. I think it'll be a little bit too much for them right now because it'll get too hot, but yeah. Really happy with those. This is the bed that Sergio's been digging over that we had to move the table for, about halfway along that now, and in the process levelling it out, because where we'd reinstated the shed path, we'd kind of edged it, and then ended up being quite a lot of extra soil, which is now being levelled. Some bits and bobs down here. I think these are more alliums, some raspberries that we've saved, strawberries that were donated to us, and can't remember what that is. Can't remember what that is. But these kind of need a home soon. We're probably going to put the raspberries round onto plot 79 near the blackcurrant and just hope that we don't ever flood again. In this bed is a little bit of a disaster. This was dug over, but the weeds have kind of reclaimed it. We probably should have covered it, but we did try sowing a few things. This is where we did the radish, which didn't really do anything. There are a couple there, but you can't really see them because of the weeds. I think this is a radish, but they're not very good, to be honest. There's a few in there, but they're just a bit weird and not very good. And then next to that we tried to do some spinach as well, and only one of those has actually survived or come up. So I think we're probably just going to start again with this bed, maybe give it another dig over, try and get some of this grass out, and then mulch it, and then try again. It's still probably going to be where our beetroot and spinach and stuff goes, but yeah, we need to try again with this bed. And then this bed is where we were doing the last of our burning. So we finally finished burning everything last month, but we haven't got around to actually even moving the incinerator, which is now falling apart. It just needs to go, well, in the bin really. We need to take it to the tip, but until then it just needs to go to the back. I think it needs 2 of us because it's still got some stuff in it, and I think if you try and pick it up it's just going to collapse. It's still being propped up by that piece of wood. Some of our compost that we're going to be using for potatoes and mulching. Plane going overhead. And then again we've got this whole bed which we haven't really thought about what to do with yet, but I'm pretty sure this is going to get filled up. We can't really do any more brassicas here, even though we had kale, but we did have a situation with clubroot last year which I'm going to try and avoid, so hopefully by putting it further back in the plot we will avoid that. We could also try here, but I think, yes, actually we did talk about maybe putting our parsnips and our carrots here, obviously once we've sorted out the soil again, and giving it a bit of a tidy up. But yes, the parsnips I don't think we'll even do until June or July, because we didn't do our parsnips until we took over plot 12 last year, which was towards the end of June, and our parsnips were great. They all germinated really well, and we had parsnips in time for Christmas, so no rush to do parsnips for us at all. And then we get back to the front, where our onions are and our lovely tulips. So that is plot 12 in the middle of April, and I think it's looking really good. There you go, plot 12, mid-April. I think it's starting to look really good. Sometimes I have to kind of remind myself that we only took this plot on in June last year, and that we have done an awful lot. But that said, I still get quite frustrated at the amount of rubbish still at the back. It kind of embarrasses me a little bit. And we really need to do the window on the shed actually as well. But we're trying to have the mantra that plants should come first, especially at this time of the year as well. But we have, I would say we've got this plot ready enough to be able to use it now. Obviously we still need to tidy up some of the beds, do some weeding, that kind of thing. But you know, it's ready to use. We have beds defined, and the back bit is never going to be used for growing. It's just going to be like a utility and kind of storage place. We want to move the compost bins, but still not a pressing job that we need to do, just something that we need to do before the risk of plot 79 flooding again, before we can actually get to them, so that we can actually get to them and move them in time before it floods or before there's a risk of flooding. But yeah, really loving plot 12 at the moment and really loving this weather as well. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. It was just a quick whiz around actually, although it is starting to now come to life, which I'm really excited about. But I think by next month we will have a lot more growing stuff to show you on this plot, which is really exciting. Really looking forward to the season ahead, and I hope you are too. So from me, Sergio and Poppy, take the very best of care. Thank you for watching this video, and hopefully we'll see you in the next one.